Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Make sure that you hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Today, I want to deal with this issue concerning Tucker Carlson and his interview that he did concerning whether or not Derek Chauvin actually killed George Floyd back in 2020. We've been through this. And everybody's talked about it. They analyzed this. We've talked about it, right? That here Tucker Carlson is again, right? If you don't know who Tucker Carlson is, he's the former Fox News host. I think he's doing his own thing now. Whether he's has his own podcast or I don't know if he's affiliated with someone else. I really do not know. But I do know that he's. Listen, I actually appreciate the fact that Tucker did not always go along with the narratives, right? Challenge things, be critical in your thinking. I actually appreciate all that. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Believe me, I'm all for it. But this idea that who are we going to believe, us or your lying eyes, the fact that we all saw this man expire before our eyes with the knee of Derek Chauvin in his neck still just baffles me. And, we can be so committed to a cause concerning something that it just gets crazy. So listen, I'm not going to believe, I'm not going to delay anymore. Let's get into the video here. I'm going to start it halfway through here. I'm not going to play the whole thing, obviously, but I am going to play just enough for us to get a taste of what Tucker Carlson is talking about. And here we go.
They include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police.
He's talking right now about the reforms, the efforts that have come from the death of George Floyd. So again, I'm starting in the middle here, but you can play the whole thing. It's on X, formerly Twitter now. It still says twitter.com at the top here. Anyway.
Adding a new federal holiday to the calendar called Juneteenth. The ceasing of hiring all white men in corporate America. And of course, significantly, they also sent a cop called Derek Chauvin to prison for more than 40 years.
No more white males being hired at all. He said the ceasing of all white men. Okay. See, this is news media, y'all. News media.
He would be the racist white devil who murdered George Floyd. But the question,
I guess that was a dig too, right? Racist white devil.
is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no. He didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota. The case was brought by a prosecutor there called Amy Sweezy. She's suing her boss. So the case is not actually about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin, but it tells you an awful lot about both of them. In her deposition, which you should read, Amy Sweezy describes a conversation that she had with the county medical examiner, Andrew Baker, right after George Floyd died. Quote, "I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy on Mr. Floyd." Sweezy recalls all this under oath in the deposition. Quote, "He called me later in the day on that Tuesday, and he told me that there were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation." Oh. In other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He died instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year. The medical examiner clearly understood that and in fact articulated it. And Sweezy explains. "He said to me," she recalls in the deposition, "Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on?" And then he said, quote, "This is the kind of case that ends careers." In other words, everyone lied about it from the very beginning. The people who knew the truth hid the truth and allowed the revolution to proceed. Now they've been exposed. Now we know the truth. What happens next? Well, they're going to ignore it. The Biden administration just issued a long purple statement celebrating George Floyd's birthday. He's a martyr, despite the fact we know that he was not murdered. And by the way, Derek Chauvin is still languishing in jail for the rest of his life. So how do we respond to this? How do we respond to the truth once we have it? Will Vince Everett Ellison seem like a good man to ask? He's the author of Crime, Inc. He joins us now.
Okay, I'm not going to play his response, but we saw what Tucker Carlson said. Now, first, obviously, it's problematic because this is just her recollection that she said in a deposition. Just because she said it in a deposition doesn't make it true, doesn't make it fact. It doesn't mean, oh, we ought to go let Chauvin out and undo everything we did and all that kind of stuff, right? That's just to say nonsensical doesn't pass any type of tests. So let's go through a couple of articles here. And so this is from Newsweek, right? And so this is them fact-checking Tucker Carlson. And fact check. Tucker Carlson says new evidence clears Derek Chauvin of murder. This was issued 5 days. If we saw the, right, this is the, if you can see the date down here, October 20th. So Newsweek did something 5 days later. You know, I'm assuming they did some kind of due diligence and all that. So I got all these commercials up here, right? So let's read through this. Conservative pundit Tucker Carlson has claimed this week that new court papers show George Floyd was not murdered in May 2020 by then police officer Derek Chauvin. Former Minneapolis police officer Chauvin, who was white, was found guilty in April 2021 of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd, who was black. In a new clip on X, formerly Twitter, on Friday, Carlson alleged a recent court deposition had proven Chauvin had not murdered Floyd. Let me make sure you guys can read this. I got to move this here. Yeah. Okay, I want you guys to be able to read it. Okay. However, Newsweek has found Carlson's analysis bears some examination. In a video clip posted on X by formerly Twitter, by Tucker Carlson's account on October 20th, 2023, and since has been viewed more than 21 million. It's now up to 22 million, right? It's now up to 22 million views, right? Carlson said that Floyd was not murdered by Chauvin. Carlson said during the clip, did Chauvin, actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. We're not guessing about that. We know conclusively, thanks to new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota. That refers to an ongoing lawsuit by Amy Sweezy Tomborino, a prosecutor in Hennepin County, where the Chauvin case was tried. Sweezy is suing the county over a legal settlement that she reached within 2022. She had initially filed discrimination charges against the county. I think she's reopening the case or resuing, right? She is suing the county over a legal settlement. So she reached the settlement she reached in 2022. We'll get to that in a second here. Case files include a deposition from Sweezy in which she mentions a conversation with the county medical examiner, Dr. Andrew Baker, after he performed the autopsy. Let's see if I can get that. I don't know. This might just be the autopsy. In the Carlson clip, text attributed to Sweezy read, I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy. Notice there's no link. There's no link to this is the autopsy report. There's no link to actual deposition. I'm assuming everyone knows what a deposition is, right? You sue someone in court, you got to go to court and give a written well, it's not really written. It is a verbal question and answer session conducted by opposing counsel. And it's usually recorded, and then they transcribe that or put it into words, and then that's what you can read. That's called a deposition, if anybody didn't know. He called later in the day on that Tuesday and told me that there were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. Carlson then said, in other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He added that Floyd died of natural causes, which is the case would include decades of drug use, as well as fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in the system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD overdose. Carlson then went on to say that Hennepin County medical examiner Dr. Baker clearly understood that and in fact articulated. Further text appeared on screen, again quoting Sweezy, stating that Dr. Baker told her, he said to me, Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on? And then he said, this is the kind This is the kind of case that ends careers, right? People will get fired if you go out speaking against the truth. That's what he's saying. But that's what Amy Sweezy Tamburino is suggesting. Carlson's claim contradicts the finding of the autopsy report. While the deposition adds no substantive support to the former Fox News host argument, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, the Hennepin County Medical Examiner autopsy did not record neck injuries or other life-threatening injuries. However, the report concluded Floyd died from cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual restraint and neck compression. The American Heart Association identifies cardiopulmonary arrest as the abrupt loss of heart function in a person. At trial, Chauvin's attorney Eric Nelson asked HCME, that's the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, Baker, whether labeling the death as a homicide was a medical determination you made. Baker replied, correct. A lack of injury does not mean that there was no asphyxia. Either Dr. Gregory Davis, a medical advisor for Jefferson County, Alabama, told the Associated Press in June 2020. That bruising or damage to the neck doesn't in any way mean that asphyxia didn't occur, only that there were no signs of it on the body. Was what Sweezy said in new court documents. The deposition that Carlson quotes does not advance the claim that George Floyd was not murdered. Sweezy spoke to counsel for the defendants as part of a lawsuit against the county on August 21st or 2023, available via Media Records Court online. In her deposition, Sweezy recalled a conversation with Baker in June, during which she allegedly said that there were no medical findings and all that kind of stuff, right? So that kind of answers that question. So they're saying it was false. False. So, okay, so that's that one. I think I have another one here. Fact check. No evidence. This is from Reuters. No evidence drug overdose was main cause of fact check. No evidence drug overdose was main cause of death of George Floyd in 2020. So this is from, when was this date? This is from number 2022. So we've been dealing with this and dealing with this and dealing with this, and now they think they have a new smoking gun here. So you can read that in Reuters, right? They did this in 2022. We went through all this, right? And let's see. George Floyd's autopsy report is not new. Does not say he died of an overdose. This is from May 26, 2023. This is just not true, right? We've gone through this, right? They did it back in, this is from May 26, 2023. They did it last year. They're doing it again, right? Let's see, what is this one? So this is, I think, this is why I said that he was being, this attorney, I guess she's suing again about the settlement. So she got a settlement. You can see May 20th, 2022, she got, this reports, this KSTP.com stated that she got $190,000 settlement of discrimination charges. And I guess she's suing about that again. So I went to this place, right? This Minnesota, if you remember, right? Anyway, she filed discrimination charges against the county, right? So I went here, right? So you type in people's names, right? Or you go to case search, right? So I clicked on case search, come up with this place, right? I typed her name in, right? Amy Sweezy Tamburino. So when you click on that, right? We type her name in, you come up with this information here. Talking about the case information, Amy Sweezy Tamburino versus Michael O. Freeman, David Huff, County of Hennepin, right? Employment, all this kind of stuff. They filed 11/2/22, right? So this is after she got, this is after this, right? So she must, reopen the case. It wasn't happy or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, right? So you can go through all this, right? So it's got the case event. So you start at the bottom here, and this is all the stuff, right? This is all the electrical, these are all the charges and stuff, right? And so you get to here, dismiss not all parties, right? So this is when stuff started happening here. Telephone motion hearing, telephone hearing, motion hearing, motion hearing, motion hearing, motion hearing, and then you could start to see documents, right? So I clicked on the first one to view documents, right, to read this complaint, and basically it's almost like a hostile work environment complaint that she had. You know, this guy Michael Freeman was making inappropriate comments and saying things like she wanted to wear. I can actually show you. Actually, I gotta actually have it here. Actually. Yeah, I can show you here. Some of the things that she alleges that he said. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying that what she alleges. So this is the parties, right? This is people, right? Factual background. She began her employment, yada, yada, yada. In or about June 2019, Sweezy was in a meeting with Freeman in Senior Assistant County Lofton. During this meeting, Freeman ridiculed another female county and stated that she had the judgment of a toad. That and it necessarily doesn't mean it's a hostile work environment. He could have said that about a guy. Freeman then said, apparently referring to himself in Lofton, big white boys like us aren't going to be ruling the world anymore, and we're already had to let the white girls in because we need someone to keep our feet warm at night. So this goes on. It's like 36 pages and all that. So that's that complaint. So there's another one here of someone's complaint filed. She's got another one. Maybe it's the same one. I don't know. Someone's complaint. This might all be the same one. Yeah, index thread. This might all be the same. Notice of case assignment. Affidavit. What I didn't see on here, I'm going through all this to show I can't see the deposition. And I was going to read what she actually said because you can't really kind of trust Tucker Carlson, right? There's memorandums. That could be a memorandum. Let's some of these memorandums. Let's take a look at this memorandum, see what this is. Yeah, this is none of this has to do with So I took a look at some of these memorandums: civil complaint, proposed document, or what I don't see on here is I'm not going to go through it. I'm not going to pull up every single one of these. So briefs. Okay, so what I went through a bunch of this, and I'm not going to keep going through this. What I don't see on here is just confidential informants and attachments. But I went through all this, right, and I don't see the word deposition. I don't see the word deposition on here. I guess it's not really a big deal. My point is, listen, I'm not a lawyer, so I mean, if I'm missing it, I'm missing it. But I don't see the deposition on here. I don't know. Listen, I went through all this. I can't find the word deposition on here and all that. So, listen, it's not a big deal to me, but this just can't trust, unfortunately, Tucker Carlson and his nonsensical statements a lot of times. And it's really unfortunate that we're continuing to fight this. And why are we continuing to fight this? Is it because that there's just this continuing discomfort with the fact of what happened, right? Considering, the riots that happened, that the legislation that happened. When was January 6th, 2019 or 2020? Probably 2020, right? All this discomfort, over, and he keeps calling him the white devil and all this kind of stuff, man. And, thinks that no white males can be in charge anymore and all this stuff. So it's really unfortunate. We continue to have these conversations. It's so uncomfortable, and we continue to be bogged down with this foolishness. We know what killed him. It's been stated a number of times. Knock it off. Knock it off. This bad cop did a bad thing, and he's going to have to pay for it. This guy is still dead. Man, just crazy. Just crazy. Crazy. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions, right? And, to cite somebody who's embroiled in a lawsuit and claim that as evidence and over-the-top evidence. I mean, we didn't even have the guy who she was talking to, this Dr. Baker, didn't even confirm it. What are you talking about, Tucker? Nah. Didn't even confirm that she said what she said to confirm the conversation. Oh, my God. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Much love and peace. Rate, subscribe, share.